Taking a ride today on the Haoqi Eagle. This is the step over model. This is the black model. It also comes in white, which is a step through model. And this is marketed as a fat tire, which it definitely is a fat tire bike, but it's also marketed as an off-road vehicle. So we're going to test everything out and see how she runs. All right, we are going to do a couple of speed tests here. I'm going to start out on 4th gear, and I'm just going to pedal the bike under my own power. Tell you right now, this is not a bike that you're going to want to pedal under your own power for the most part, because it weighs 79 pounds, so I will not be able to get into the pedal assist fast enough. But again, taking off in 4th gear and under my own power, I'm up to 8, 9 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour. Gonna flip up to 5th gear, 6th gear, and 7th gear, and I'm doing about 13 miles per hour now, but it's really giving my legs a workout. So we're gonna go up into pedal assist level 1, and that's a relief when it kicks in. It really takes the strain off of your legs and helps to compensate for the weight on this bike. But pedal assist level 1 surprisingly takes us up to about, says 18 on GPS and almost 17 on the speedometer. That's pretty high for pedal assist level 1. We're going to go up to pedal assist level 2 now. Says 21 on GPS, almost 20 on the bike speedometer. Level 3, says 22.3 on the bike speedometer, 24 on GPS, and I am ghost pedaling now. There's nothing I'm contributing to this at all. Level 4. About 25. And level 5. $27 on GPS, 28 on GPS. 27 on the speedometer, 29 on GPS. And I got a stop sign coming up, so I'm going to conclude the speed test under pedal assist. Brake test. Brakes are adequate. They are hydraulic brakes, and they stop the bike really well. Now I'm going to do a speed test under throttle only, me not pedaling at all. Again, this bike weighs about 80 pounds. I weigh 200 pounds, so we're going to go and see what kind of speed we can get under throttle only. Here's pedal assist level 1, throttle only. We're at about 15 miles per hour, 16 miles per hour, 17 on GPS. Level 2. The bike definitely accelerates a lot faster when you help it. Looks like about 20 miles per hour under level 2, level 3. Looks like level 3 is capped out at about 22. Level 4. Capping out at about 25. And level 5. Yeah, under throttle only, it's not really wanting to do too much, so It's capping out, it looks like 26 on GPS. I'm gonna pedal to help it now. Though my pedaling isn't helping much, but we did get up to 27 now. And another brake test. Stops good with these hydraulic brakes, and this is on kind of loose crushed gravel. So what I noticed is that in pedal assist level 1, which is where I'm at now, the bike caps out at about 17 miles per hour, maybe 18. There's a little bit of discrepancy between GPS and the built-in speedometer on this bike, so I'm more inclined to trust GPS. So the speedometer is actually reading a little bit on the low side. Basically, my point is, I ride mostly rail and trail like these kinds of trails here, and like 15 to 20 miles per hour is usually where I'm riding at, normally closer to like 15 miles per hour. So this bike starts out exceeding 15 miles per hour in its first pedal assist level. So this bike has a 750 watt motor, and off the top of my head, I really don't know what the peak output is. With that being said, it's not the most powerful bike I've ever ridden, but it's not bad at all. And I think it's not really designed for like speed and acceleration. I think it's more designed for long trips, and I'm kind of inclined to believe that based on how it's geared with the level of speed that you get from the pedal assist level being at 1. I think you're supposed to set this bike at level 1 or 2 and ride it that way, and it's going to take you everywhere you want to go all day long. Another reason I'm inclined to believe that it's built to be sort of a long range fat tire bike is the 20 amp hour battery. Pair that 20 amp hour battery with a somewhat powerful yet mild motor, and you're going to be able to ride this thing a really long way if you ride mindfully. Something I really like about a tall tire bike like this is that once you get up to speed, it's really easy to maintain your momentum. So I'm in pedal assist level 1 right now, and if I drop down to 0 and just pedal under my own power now, it's eventually going to drop down slowly to like probably about 13 miles per hour. But I'm going to be able to maintain that pretty easy under my own power. Now, don't get me wrong, when I say pretty easy, it's still a pretty good workout. But right now, like I said, I'm maintaining about 13.5 miles per hour according to this speedometer, and I'm not totally killing myself to do it. So this would be a good workout if you want to work out. If you go up into pedal assist level 1, you're going to be working a little bit, but I can really offset some of that energy that the battery is using by pedaling some on my own and keeping this wattage down here, and really extend the battery of the life. And like I said, I'm doing about 17, 18 miles per hour right now. Now, speaking of settings, the thing that I really don't like about this bike the most, and it's such a first world problem, is that it takes a long time to get into the menu settings for this bike. You've got to hold the up and down buttons over here for 40 seconds to get into the settings on this bike. Now, yeah, like I said, that sounds like a first world problem, but you know, when you're sitting there and holding this and holding this and holding this, waiting for you to get into the settings just so you can reset your trip odometer, it becomes really annoying really quick. Other than that, the only real complaint that I have about this bike is that the battery is really difficult to get out of the tray. You've got to turn the key and hold the battery in place and hit the release mechanism and like hold everything in place and really just wiggle and pry and wiggle and pry, and eventually the battery does come out. I've gotten to the point where I just charge the battery on the bike because it's not worth the hassle of taking the battery out of the tray. But besides those two problems, I have no complaints about this bike. I really love riding this bike, especially on a rail and trail like this. Fat tire bikes on a rail and trail are like the best things in the world to ride, and I never thought I would have said that. When I first got into like e-bikes, I came from like road bike world, and it was always my intention to get the lightest, least amount of rolling resistance and things like that. After riding a fat tire bike, there's no going back for me. These are the most fun bikes to ride. And the first time I rode one, it was like, yeah, this is nice, this is cool. It's a different experience. I didn't realize how much fun I had on that bike until I went to ride something else afterwards, and then came back to riding fat tire bikes. That's when I was completely sold. And there's a lot of debate as to the efficiency of a fat tire bike, and yeah, they're heavy. They are not as efficient as a lighter bike for sure, but as far as like efficiency on your bones and the ability to be able to ride all day and not be aching and have your bones screaming at you when you're done, fat tire is the way to go. This thing is extremely comfortable. The front shock, along with the fat tires, is absorbing pretty much every bump and dip and rock that I hit along the way. And like I said, as far as battery life goes, yeah, a lighter bike would be more battery efficient, but these have such good momentum that once you get the tall tires rolling, it really doesn't take a lot of energy to keep the bike moving. I'm putting minimal effort into pedaling this one right now, and I'm really not burning a lot of wattage at all, and it's really keeping 17, 18 miles per hour with almost no effort whatsoever. So I've wanted to ride the Ohio to Erie Trail, and I've not done that yet. It's a bike trail that is like this, that goes all the way from the Ohio River all the way up to Lake Erie, and it's a really long trail. And this might be my bike that I do it on. This is becoming the top contender for something that I'm really kind of considering using for that ride, because like I said, this is comfortable. It seems to be getting pretty good battery life, and there's a rear rack on it already. I plan on doing a lot of camping along the way. So yeah, this bike might be the bike that I use for that. Let's do a hill test. All right, we're gonna go up this hill. I don't know the exact grade on this hill, and I don't know how much the fisheye on this lens is making it look like not much of a hill, but it's probably about a 15 to 20% grade. So here we're gonna do a takeoff from a dead stop, and I am not pedaling at all. This is just throttle only. It's making it up the hill, no problem. I think this side over here is a little bit steeper. Maybe? I don't know. But it made it up that hill, no problem. I didn't have to pedal at all. Now, if I do that again from this side, I'm gonna do it and actually help the bike pedal. And yeah, I mean, it's just going right up the hill, no problem with me helping it pedal along. Yeah, no problems at all. I did that test in pedal assist level 1. I'm going to do it in 5 now and see how it does. Throttle only, here we go. Yeah, it's just tearing right up this hill, no problem. And now I'll do the other side, but I'm going to help it with pedaling as I go up the hill. And yeah, Nothing to it. It's going right up this hill, eating it for breakfast. So I'm at my 7-mile mark right now, and I did my speed tests in the beginning of this ride, and the rest of the ride I've ridden at about 17, 18 miles per hour, and we're still at a full power bar here, so pretty good in my book. Now the downside of a big battery is that as long as it takes to run the battery out, it also takes a long time to charge it up. And you're better off slow charging a battery if you can, because you're going to get a much better overall lifetime out of the battery. You're going to be able to charge it up more times than if you were to charge it fast. But with that being said, I think that at 20 amp hours, you could be looking at like 6 or 8 hours to charge this battery up from completely dead. I would not run it completely dead. You want to charge a battery before it gets under about 20%. Definitely, you don't want it to hit 0, so if you hit 20%, 10%, it's time to charge the battery for sure. Okay, so I am at the 10-mile mark on this ride. I know for a fact that that's where I'm at because I've ridden this hundreds of times, but the odometer is reading 10 miles. I'm going to go back now. This was 10 easy miles. It didn't feel like I did anything. The comfort of the bike, paired with the fact that I was doing, 16 to 18 miles per hour, and it was just kind of sipping the power. This really feels like this wasn't much of a ride at all. So I'm going to go back now, and again, we're at a full power on the power bar. The bike was just sipping the power coming out here. I'm going to go back and see what kind of battery life we get when we get back. Now, one thing that I got to keep in mind is that coming out here is a very, very minor, almost unnoticeable grade going downhill, going back that way. So going back, we're going to have a very, very minor grade going up the entire trip. And that usually is a lot rougher on the battery than one would think. Going out that way, I use very little battery, but coming back, I always use a little bit more. So I'm going to be mindful of that and see what kind of battery life we're at when I get back to the beginning of the trip. All right, so we are back to the beginning of the trip. According to this, it says we've come 19 miles. We are at 80% on the battery meter. And so I weigh 200 pounds. I rode the bike about 16 to 18 miles per hour the majority of the trip. In the beginning of the ride is when I did my speed test, and I did a couple of hill climbs. So I would say that 2 miles were really rough riding, and the other 16 to 18 miles was very mild riding at pedal assist level 1 at about, anywhere from 16 to 18 miles per hour. So, but battery life on this thing, I shouldn't be surprised, is really good. It's a 20 amp hour battery, so it's going to be really good. I would say that based on these numbers, we're at 80% battery life. We've come 19 miles on this trip, probably close to ticking over to 20, but I would say that based on these numbers, this bike will probably get 40 miles if you ride it the way I rode it today. And if you're lighter or heavier, that's going to have an effect one way or the other. But this was a mostly flat trail. There were some dips and bumps and things like that, but I consider this a flat trail. It's crushed gravel. So yeah, 19 miles, 80% battery life left. Pretty good in my book. All right, we are back again, day 2, riding the Haoqi Eagle. And I'm going to do a little riding around the lake today and do some off-road testing with this bike. First off, we're going to cut off into some grass over here and see how it goes. I am at 16 miles per hour now, and right off the pavement, right into the grass, no problem. Now, when I say I'm going to do off-road testing, I want to let you know this is not a bike that is for tight, curvy, technical mountain bike trails. It does off-road like this just fine, and I'm going to take it over some big, heavy gravel here in a minute, and almost river rock. We're going to test that out here in just a second. Nice day for a ride for sure. Sun is shining. It's about 87 degrees out right now. But yeah, as far as off-road goes, this bike is doing a pretty good job of handling everything. The tall tires go right over everything that gets in its way. That's the nice thing about a 26-inch fat tire. And this is the big gravel that I was talking about. I'm gonna ride up here, then I'm gonna hop off, and we're gonna actually, you know what? I'm gonna put this on pause. I'm gonna take it through some sand first. Yeah, no problems with the sand at all. Now I'll go back and go up through the river rock. This sidewalk sits kind of high, and yeah, this bike goes right up and over it. And now I'm going to go back up over the river rock. I keep saying river rock, but it's actually just like really big gravel. Oh yeah, no problem. And we'll do another off-road test here up on the railroad tracks, because I don't think I've done that yet. And I'm walking it, but the bike goes right up over the railroad tracks. No problem. Here we go. Yeah, it rides just as I expected. It's not something I would want to ride all day like this, but 26-inch fat tire bikes go right up over this kind of terrain and obstacles. No problem at all. All right, time for our walk around here to see what we get. And please pardon all this dust. I've been really putting the bike through its paces, so it is a lot cleaner than what you're seeing here when it comes out of the box. But as previously mentioned, we get 26x4 fat tires. We get 180 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes, both front and rear, and this thing has a fantastic braking system. Bouncy front suspension, you can adjust the preload and you can lock it out if you so choose. Standard e-bike headlight. Up top here we get nice wide handlebars for a comfortable ride and great handling. Brake levers are really well made. We get a standard e-bike screen here, and these are the controls for it, for pedal assist up and down and our mode button. The biggest gripe that I have about this bike is that when you get into the control screen, it takes 40 seconds or more of holding these buttons down to get into the screen. So when you want to do something like reset your trip odometer, waiting 40 seconds for that seems a bit excessive to me. But I know, first world problem. Bike comes with a bell, 7-speed Shimano thumb shifter, just well-built simplicity. The hydraulic brakes are Gemma, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, but that's the brand. What I really like about these handlebars is we've got a couple inches of extra rise here, so it adds to the comfort level of the bike. Here's our lockout for the battery. When you unlock this battery, you've got to twist this lever here to also drop the battery out. I did not bring the key with me, so I'm going to get this battery out later and overlay some video here. But it's a 48 volt, 20 amp battery, and it is a bit of a challenge to get this battery out. It fits in there tight. It takes 2 hands and a lot of strength to get this battery out. That's one other complaint I do have about the bike, but I've basically just been taking the bike where I charge it, but I know that not everybody is going to have that luxury, so just know that this battery fits in there pretty tight and you will need to apply some elbow grease to get it out. Here's our waterproof charging port for the battery here. We get metal pedals here. They seem to be pretty well built. And at a glance, it would appear that the bike is a mid-drive, but it's actually not. It is indeed a hub drive motor. This has just got the controller and electronics and stuff in there, which there's plenty of room for upgrading in the future, and it looks like this is easy to get to, so this would be a great bike for a modder. We get plastic fenders, which I don't mind at all. They are quiet. I always prefer plastic fenders to metal fenders. And again, in the back, 180 millimeter hydraulic brakes. Let me spin the motor to where you can see it, but it's a 48 volt, 750 watt motor. The bike does come with this nice rack and a tail light back here. Turn that on and take a look at it. Bike comes with this nice tail light back here. I've got it on right now, and it does also have a brake light. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that. It's really bright sunshine out here right now. The bike is a 7-speed with a Shimano derailleur and a derailleur guard. Up front here, we've got about what I would consider a mid-size sprocket. So when you get up into your higher pedal assist modes, this is not going to help you much, but under like pedal assist 1 and 2, you'll be able to put a little bit more back into the bike and help it out a little bit. But in the higher pedal assist modes, forget about it with that sprocket. All right, so Haoqi did send some extra accessories for me to check out. Now, I want to stress that these do not come with the bike stock. You've got to order these separate, but they are available through Haoqi's website. We got some handlebar mirrors, this metal rack here, an aluminum drink holder, and some saddlebag. And I have not mounted any of this stuff on the bike yet just because I haven't had time. The mirrors, I'm not sure how I exactly want to mount them. I have seen where you can mount them like this, but if you do that, then the only thing you see in the mirror is your forearm. I've seen where you can mount them like this, but I'm going to have to think on that. I am going to put them on the bike quickly and just show a picture of what they look like, but you know, I haven't gotten around to doing that yet and coming up with a permanent way that I want to mount them on the bike just yet. The drink holder just has some Velcro straps and it goes along and mounts to the bottom here. I'll take a picture and show what that looks like when I get that mounted on. And this rack is a pretty heavy duty rack, and I believe I left the hardware at home to mount that on the rack here, but this also does have holes where you can mount it on a bike with a front rack. This bike does not have front rack mounting brackets, so I can't put it on here on the front, but it would very easily go on the rack back here. But I'm not going to put this on because, to me, this is the real belle of the ball, this saddlebag here. And I looked into this a little bit, and what it's got is it's got these clips on the bottom here that clip right to the rack very easily, so you can put it on and take it off really easy. And then once you've got it on, you can just clip these straps. So I will definitely be using this, especially for my long range and future camping trips. This looks like a really excellent piece of equipment. Okay, so here are the saddlebags on the bike, and they do look a little bit frumpy once you put them on there, but I assure you this will fill out and be more square once you start putting stuff in there. It's shipped flat and they're canvas bags, so they did lose their shape in shipping. But what I like about this is you've got plenty of room for storage in these main 2 bags, and then you've got extra zipper compartments and pockets and things like that, and more places to put more stuff. And they do strap to the bike very nicely, and which I don't have this side strap down yet, but I think you're smart enough to get the point. It's also got these straps up top here so that if you've got a backpack, you can strap more stuff to the bike. Like you could put another tail bag here, or you could put your backpack or whatever. And it's got this handle here, so you can just unstrap it and grab the handle and pull right up and take it off and take it in. Easy as that. Okay, so we're at 4 bars. I've got 31 miles on the bike. I want to see how far the bike will actually take us on a single charge. I'm at these 31 miles from the last time I charged it, and I weigh 200 pounds. The bike weighs 79 pounds. I want to get a definitive range on the bike, but there's no such thing as an actual like straight up definitive. This is just the best info I can provide you. Rider weight, ride style, and terrain is all going to factor in, but for the most part I've been riding the bike on this kind of terrain, which is pretty mild terrain. Now going out this way, I'm going to be going slightly uphill. It's a very almost unnoticeable grade, but I expect the bike is going to run out. It's a 7-mile trip to where I'm going, and it'll be, thus a 7-mile trip coming back. But coming back, I'll have a little bit of an advantage of the downward slope, just in case the bike does run out, because I really don't want to pedal this 80-pound bike uphill on a dead battery. But we're going to take it out and see what she can do. All right, so I just hit my midpoint for this ride back there. We are at 38 miles. I've got 2 bars left on the battery, 7 miles to go to get back to the end of the ride. But this is a mildly downhill grade for the rest of the ride. So fingers crossed, I think we're gonna be okay. All right, back to the beginning of the ride here. We are at 44 miles, but the battery bar, she flashing. In the last 4 miles, I switched down into class 2 mode and rode it in pedal assist level 2. When the battery started flashing, I dropped down to pedal assist level 1. You should absolutely never run your battery this low. I'm doing this as a stress test. I would say that you can count on about 40 pretty solid flat trail riding like I did today. That you can get about 40 miles out of it pretty safely. But that's going to depend on your ride style, how heavy you are, how many hills you have, how many stops you have. There's a lot to factor in, but for the kind of riding that I do, I would say that 40 miles is a pretty safe expectation. So this bike does have a class 2 and a class 3 mode, and the way that you toggle between those two is a little odd if you ask me. But when the bike is stopped, tap your right brake 5 times in quick succession. So I should be in class 3 mode now. I'm going to tap it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that should put me in class 2 mode, and I should have lower power outputs in each of these. Let's see, here we go. Yeah, I can feel the difference already. It doesn't have as much power in pedal assist level 1. We're capping out at about 12 miles per hour, whereas we were getting like 16 miles per hour in level 1 before. I'm going to go all the way up to 5 and see what our top speed is in this mode. Yep, it's definitely neutered it and made it a class 2. So I'm going to stop here. If you do need to ride it in a pedestrian area where you do need to keep your speed lower, there is that option. I completely forgot about that before. So I'm going to put it back in class 3 mode now. And I think that was 5. I was talking and counting at the same time. So yeah, tapping that brake lever 5 times in quick succession toggles it between class 2 and class 3 mode. All right, so my final thoughts on the Haoqi Eagle. This thing is big, bulky, heavy, and almost perfect. I say almost perfect because it's almost perfect for the kind of riding that I do with the like rail and trail riding, and this bike is primed for some future modifications to make it to where I'll be able to take it out and actually ride all day long, like with the addition of a second battery on that tray back there. Now, if you need a bike that is lightweight and nimble and has easy portability, then this bike is probably not going to be the bike for you. I'm able to fit the bike in the back of my van with no problems, but it takes up the entire back of the van and it has to lay down. I don't have a bike rack, so if you do want to take this bike on the back of your vehicle on a bike rack, you're going to need a pretty heavy duty bike rack to lug this bike around. It's extremely comfortable, it rides stable, and that's what I kind of need for my style of riding. There was a time when I would have never considered buying a fat tire bike, but as my riding style has changed, and as I do a lot more rail and trail riding, which consists of probably about 90% of the riding that I do, these 26-inch fat tire bikes are definitely the way to go. And as I mentioned, I really like this one for the modification factor. And this one, oh, here we go. Here's a good example of why I like this. Ooh, some road grooves were cut back there, and this bike just goes over everything. And you never know what you're going to run into on a trail where you might have to go around a pedestrian who's not paying attention and go off into the grass. Well, this is going to go out into the grass and over rocks and over gravel and then right back onto the trail with no problems whatsoever. And as far as power, it's got plenty of power for the kind of riding that I do. It's not the most powerful bike that I've ridden, but as far as how I ride, I would like a good mix of power and range, with range being more important for me. When I go out on a ride, I want to be able to ride as long as I can, and this bike is a good setup for that kind of riding. I will likely in the very near future do a follow-up on this specific bike, because there are some mods that I want to make to it for the kind of riding that I do, for the more long range, like rail and trail riding. So I've got some ideas in mind, and when I get those mods made, I will definitely do a follow-up on this bike. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.